Hi, and welcome to today's Daily Chronicle. Today is Thursday, May 8th, 2025. Fighting loneliness in rural Maine, one casserole at a time. Community Plate seeks to bring people together over shared potluck suppers of classic casseroles. Back in 2023, Carl Schatz and Margaret Hathaway, a husband and wife team, had recently published 2 volumes of the Maine Community Cookbook when they heard the U.S. Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy, had declared an epidemic of loneliness. Murthy wrote, "It is associated with a greater risk of cardiovascular disease, dementia, stroke, depression, anxiety, and premature death. Loneliness is as risky as smoking 15 cigarettes a day or never exercising," he elaborated. Hathaway and Schatz books were full of recipes and stories from all over the state of Maine, and people kept telling them that they loved the books as much as the recipes as the stories, Schatz told me. This made Schatz and Hathaway wonder if perhaps they might be uniquely positioned to offer an antidote to loneliness. Together they set about to found Community Plate. The goal of organization is to create potluck suppers in towns all over the state of Maine, where people come together who might not know each other that well, even if they live around the corner from each other. Each person brings a dish to share, and if you decide, they will tell stories. So, it was on a recently drizzly March day that Hathaway and Schatz, along with their daughter Charlotte, were checking people in for a Sunday story sharing supper in Norway, Maine. All 3 greeted people at the door, speaking over each other as the first guests arrive. People filter in, and a lot of casseroles arrive. It's March in Maine, after all, even an old classic green bean. Reed McLean tells me that it's straight from the can. I ask, "Did you help make it?" And he answers, "I did not." "Well, I turned the oven on." The atmosphere in the room is convivial and light. Schatz looks around and says, I think that people see this as a sort of gift to the community, this opportunity for people to come together." He tells me that, to be honest, he and Hathaway didn't know at first what exactly they were providing. And then a woman at one of their very first suppers actually defined it for them. She had just moved to Maine, and she was a grandmother, and she had moved here to be closer to her grandkids. And she came and sat down at the table across from me. I asked her what brought her to the supper, and she said, "I came because I'm lonely." It was the first time I'd ever heard someone say that out loud. Just a few weeks ago, the 2025 World Happiness Report issued a warning that stated, "Social connections are critically important for human health, happiness, and prosperity." The solution, according to the report, people need to sit down and eat together. Hathaway agrees we need this now more than ever. And just as our culture becomes more divisive, there are so many issues you never thought were going to be hot button issues that suddenly are. Food is generally something people can talk about without it becoming contentious. As I mill around talking to guests, a woman named June Howard is eager to tell me what she has brought to share tonight. Spoiler, it's casserole. She says it's got cubed up chicken, it's got carrots, celery, onions, cheese, apples, cranberries. Seated next to her, Ruby Bryant tells me she is glad to be here tonight because she needed to get out. 2 weeks ago, there was a terrible fire at the house next door to hers. We heard pounding on the door, so we went downstairs in our pajamas, and it was the policemen. By then, they knocked the door down, and they said, "Get your coats and get out. Your house is melting." Though Bryant says she is gluten-free and has brought her own dinner, she chats ambiently with other guests as everyone waits for the buffet to get underway. Soon Schatz takes the mic and encourages people to enter the buffet line, table by table. We're gonna start with this table over here, because you guys were here first, so I know that means you're hungry. When everyone is finally seated and eating, Schatz stands up again and takes a microphone. His mission is to get people connecting and talking. He suggests, if you're sitting with a person that you have dinner with every night of the week, and you decide tonight you want to have dinner with someone else, you have my permission to sit with someone else. Yeah, we encourage you to do that, to maybe make a new connection, because that is why we're here tonight. And in case anyone is worried, they have to get up and tell a story, he says. As far as the story sharing goes, people often ask, do I have to share a story? And the answer is no. You don't have to share a story. We also need listeners. Storytelling is a two-way street. And you can't have a storytelling without story listening. The room gets quiet. Only the clinking of silverware and chewing can be heard. Brendan Schaffler stands up and walks to the front of the room. He rubs his hands together and then takes the mic. He begins to tell a story about his father's loneliness, which led to his father's eventual suicide when Schaffler was a teenager. Looking around the room, forks are down, faces still, everyone's listening. Brendan confesses, I felt like my face forgot the shape of a smile, that I would be stuck in this place forever. I became determined to never again lose the opportunity to someone I cared about, how much they mean to me. After two more storytellers, the evening starts to wind down, and people are pulling on coats and gathering their ladles and crock pots. Then, a man who requested that NPR not name him to protect his family from further pain tapped Schaffler on the shoulder. I want to thank you for your story. I too lost someone very close to me. I lost my 13-year-old son to suicide, and it's very hard for me, but I really admire your courage. The two men hold each other. Schaffler says into the man's ear, I am so sorry for your loss. They start to part, and then they lean in again and hold on once more. Moments of connection like this are unplanned and profound. The recipe is so simple. A Sunday night, a potluck, some neighbors, and a few stories. Community Plate is offering Maine an antidote to loneliness and disconnection, one supper at a time. Energy Star, efficiency program that has steered consumer choice, targeted in cuts. An Energy Star logo is displayed on a box for a freezer, January 21st, 2025, in Evandale, Ohio. An Environmental Protection Agency plan to eliminate its Energy Star offices would end a decades-old program that gave consumers a choice to buy environmentally friendly refrigerators, dishwashers, and other electronics and save money on electric bills. Consumer and environmental groups said. The changes outlined in agency documents reviewed by the Associated Press are part of a broad reorganization at the EPA that would eliminate or reorganize significant parts of the office focused on air pollution. Those plans advanced President Trump's sharp turn away from the prior administration's focus on climate change. The EPA did not confirm directly it was ending the program. First reported Tuesday by CNN, but said the reorganization is delivering organizational improvements to the personnel structure that will directly benefit the American people and better advance the agency's core mission, while powering the great American comeback. The EPA launched Energy Star in 1992 with the goal of tackling environmental protection and economic growth. It boosts the market for energy-efficient products and benefits the companies that design appliances that earn the label. A home that decides to buy Energy Star products can save $450 annually on energy costs. The program's website says people recognize it right away, so they would be like, oh, it is the Energy Star, so I should probably go with this one, said Franz Dietz, spokesperson with the trade association Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute. Stephen Adel, executive director of the American Council for an Energy-Efficient Economy, said the program enjoyed bipartisan support until recently. It promotes efficiency by tightening standards when lots of products are able to meet the label requirements, he said. Big savings in money and pollution. Since its start, the program has reduced energy costs by more than $500 billion and prevented about 4 billion metric tons of planet-warming greenhouse gas emissions, according to its website. Appliances can be responsible for tons of air pollution, but efficiency measures can reduce the carbon dioxide, methane, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and fine particulate matter that producing the electricity releases into the atmosphere. These pollutants can harm the heart and lungs and cause other health issues. Trump's proposed budget asked the Congress eliminate the EPA's entire atmospheric protection program, which houses the offices that run Energy Star. The budget described the program as an overreach of government authority that imposes unnecessary and radical climate change regulations on businesses and stifles economic growth. But Sarah Gleason, Climate Solutions research manager at the climate action nonprofit Project Drawdown, said America's energy independence depends on the ability to meet U.S. energy demands, and cutting the program imperils that and strains households at the same time. Gleason said losing Energy Star will make it harder for consumers to have trustworthy information about products' energy use. Label is voluntary, and Congress ordered it. The Energy Star label is voluntary for products that meet certain efficiency levels and differs from the Department of Energy standards that set minimum efficiency requirements that products must meet to be legally sold. In the 2000s, Congress directed the EPA, and Department of Energy to run an energy efficiency program and promote Energy Star. The DOE did not comment on the changes and its role moving forward, deferring questions to the EPA. According to the program's website, DOE's role includes developing product testing procedures. The EPA is responsible for setting performance levels and ensuring consumers can rely on the label. The Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers said it supports a streamlined Energy Star program through the DOE. Spokeswoman Jill Notini said that would meet the administration's goal for preserving a full selection of products from which consumers can choose and reducing unnecessary regulatory burden. The move is the latest in the Trump administration's broader deregulatory effort. They announced plans to slash Biden-era policies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and prioritized fossil fuels and an energy dominance policy. The president has been particularly keen on eliminating efficiency standards, arguing they result in products that cost more and are less effective, and that they deny consumer choice. Trump has reserved rules restricting water flow for shower heads and other household appliances. Trump targeted Energy Star during his first stint in the White House, but faced backlash. For an administration who keeps claiming the country is facing an energy emergency, Trump continues to attack any and all efforts aimed at saving energy through efficiency. Javier Boatwright, Deputy Legislative Director for Clean Energy and Electrification at Sierra Club, said in a statement, "When we waste energy through inefficient appliances, the fossil fuel industry uses it as an excuse to extract and sell more of its product to make more money on the backs of the American people." USDA chief says agency is trying to fill key jobs after paying $15,000 to leave. In testimony on Capitol Hill on Tuesday and Wednesday, Secretary Agriculture Brooke Rollins confirmed that the U.S. Department of Agriculture is now looking to fill critical positions after agreeing to pay more than 15,000 employee salaries and benefits through September in exchange for the resignations. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins testifies on Capitol Hill. In Washington, D.C. on May 6, 2025. We are actively looking and recruiting to fill these positions that are integral to the efforts and the key front lines, Rollins told members of the Senate Appropriations Committee on Tuesday. USDA is among the agencies that twice invited employees to quit their jobs through the Deferred Resignation Program. Once in late January, when the deal was presented to nearly the entire federal workforce, and again for a short window in April. The Trump administration has leaned heavily on the Deferred Resignation Program as it seeks to dramatically downsize the federal workforce. But the need to fill the positions so soon after letting people go has raised questions, including from Senator Patty Murray of Washington. The top Democrat on the Senate Appropriations Committee. So you let people go, and you're looking for new people to fill positions that they had experience in? Murray asked. We're having those discussions right now, Rollins responded, while noting that 15,000 employees represented less than 15% of the USDA's workforce, and that the department loses 8,000 to 10,000 employees every year through attrition. Still, Rollins invited some of those who took the deferred resignation to offer to return. If they want to come back, and if they were in a key position, then we would love to have that conversation, she told lawmakers. Earlier, NPR reported that just a day after employees of the USDA's Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, APHIS, has left their jobs through the Deferred Resignation Program. Human Resources sent an email to remaining employees offering them an opportunity to apply for 73 open positions, including ones newly vacant. One employee who had taken the deferred resignation deal was furious to learn their job was on that list. They had not wanted to resign from that job, but felt forced to do so after repeated warnings of mass layoffs ahead. The employee asked to remain anonymous out of fear of reprisal for speaking with the media while still on paid administration leave. At Tuesday's hearing, Rollins acknowledged some mistakes may have been made along the way, but insisted that people in the key positions were not accepted in the second round of the deferred resignation program. We are very intentionally reapproaching this. Have we done it perfectly? No. Any type of whole-scale change and a big effort to basically realign an entire government agency is difficult, she said. We're working every day to solve for a lot of this, and I think we're making a lot of really good progress. On Wednesday, Rollins went further, denying that anyone at APHIS has been allowed to accept deferred resignation. Or DRP in April. In the last round, we did not accept any DRPs from anyone in Farm Service Agency, offices or APHIS offices or state veterinarians, Rollins said at a budget hearing at the House Appropriations Committee. Her assertion is at odds with another account from an APHIS employee whose separation agreement was seen by NPR. NPR agreed not to name this employee because he also fears retaliation for speaking with the media while on paid administrative leave. He describes seeing stressed IT staff dealing with a pile of laptops and cell phones turned in by those departing the government last Wednesday. He added his to the pile. Armando Rosario Lebron, a vice president with the National Association of Agricultural Employees, which represents employees in APHIS's plant protection and quarantine program, believes several hundred of its bargaining unit members could have accepted that deferred resignation offer in April. USDA did not immediately respond to NPR's questions about the discrepancy between Rollins' testimony in these employees' accounts.